Making friends as a new mom can be very difficult. I know I've been there a few times. And the sad truth of the nature of life is that when you become a parent, sometimes your circle of friends changes. Whether you're the first one of your friends in your old group to have a baby, or maybe you're the last of your friends to have a baby, things just change. Priorities change, and your circle of friends will change. It's okay, and everything will be just fine. You're not going to be alone. But that doesn't mean that you don't have to put some extra work into making friends when you are a mom. And sometimes when you become a new parent, it is extra important for you to be very vigilant about who you are letting in your life. So you might need to even be a little bit more picky when it comes to who you are going to be friends with. Now, I talk on this channel all the time about how important it is to have a village and that it takes a village to raise a baby, and it is true. If you're finding yourself feeling alone or just feeling lonely in general, it is so common for new moms to feel this way. So just know that you are not alone, and we're here to help you. While it can be harder to make friends as a new mom, it's not impossible. Now, I know that you're worried about your baby and their schedule, and when do they need to eat, and when do they need to sleep, and all the different things. But it's also important to prioritize yourself, your sanity, your mental health, and that means having friends that you can rely on. Where are we finding these friends, and where are they coming from? Let's talk about 5 different places that you can find some new mom friends. Number 1 is your local mom groups. Now, this can be started as a Facebook group where you are just part of insert city here, moms. So I live in Rochester, New York, so I am a part of several Rochester, New York mom groups, and there are times where there are events made in the group. There are certain parents looking for play dates with kids of the same age as theirs, and it's just a great way to find some local parents who have kids around the same age as yours. So sometimes they'll meet at the library, they'll meet up at playgrounds, they'll meet up at a splash pad over the summer, anything that gets you out of the house and doing something with your baby. There's also the Meetup app. That was one that I used when my oldest was a baby. It was hit or miss. Some of them are going to be very general and others are going to be very specific. There will be some for crunchy breastfeeding mamas just whipping boobs out wherever, and there will be other groups of formula feeding moms who are pulling out bottles, and I know that's a touchy subject. So if it is something that you're sensitive to, then just make sure that you are finding a group that kind of suits your needs. And this was something that I ran into because I was a formula feeding mom with my first kid, and I made the mistake of going to a very crunchy granola group where everybody was whipping out boobs and judging me for pulling out a bottle. So if that is something that you are sensitive about, like I was, then you should just make sure that you're doing your research before going to these said groups. Sometimes if you have a local parenting center, they may also have groups available for parents for specific age groups, or if you have a child with special needs, they might just have different topics of group discussions of people who might be struggling with XYZ and need support with ABC, whatever it might be. Now we're rhyming. Just make sure that you're looking into your local parenting center, and hopefully you will find something there. Speaking of your parenting center, they may have some baby and me classes. So that's number 2. Anything that you can do with your baby, and it's not just like a mom support group, but it is a baby and me class, could be something very fun and where you're meeting other like-minded people. So something that I hear a lot, and I teach a baby and toddler music and movement class, and I hear a lot of parents saying, I didn't want to come here alone. You need to just put that out of your head, because you're going there with a group of 10 to 15 other people who have the same interests as you. So they're already like-minded people that you're probably going to get along with. And I tell parents in my classes all the time, talk to each other after classes, head to the library that's right next door, and just have some fun with your kids, because not only do you already already have the same like music and movement interest in mind, but your kids are the same age and they're going to grow together. Now that my kids are of school age, I'm seeing same kids that were in their preschool classes, they are growing together through the years. So you're going to see the same people over and over again. Don't be nervous, sign up for the class and just smile and wave at somebody. Ask how old their kid is, ask what their kid's name is, and just start the conversation. Number 3, if you are into your fitness, then you can join a Stroller Strides, Fit for Mom. What else is out there? There's Mom Walks, there's all of these different groups out there that are going to depend on your location. Your location is going to have different groups of fitness activities for moms. Stroller Strides is a really big one, and sadly we don't have one here in Rochester, but my kids are far beyond the stroller age anyways, but that was one that I always looked for when my kids were babies and never found one. Idea number 4 is to go to some postpartum support groups. I will always be an advocate for postpartum support, and this is specifically for a mom, but it is important for you to have an outlet and be able to talk to people who can actually relate to you. If you're married and your spouse does not understand what postpartum feels like, it might just be nice to be able to have the perspective of somebody else who has been through it and or is currently going through the same thing that you're going through. So find one of those groups, and this is very similar to just like the mommy meetup groups, where you need to make sure that you're finding a postpartum support group that aligns with your beliefs as a parent. And if all else fails, number 5 is to find a virtual community, and I am still in touch 11 plus years later with the moms that I grew close with when I was pregnant with my first baby. We were on the What to Expect app, and I'm sure it is still the same way, even though that was 11 years ago. Ugh, that was so long ago. But what they had was the birth month groups, and even though he was born in October, he was due in November. So I was in the November moms pregnancy group, and we took our group of people off of the app and we put ourselves in a Facebook group, and we have been chatting with each other ever since. We still check in with each other a couple times a year, even though it's dwindled quite a bit since our babies were born. But when the babies were born, it was a constant stream of, oh my gosh, my baby's doing this, my baby's doing that, I feel like this, I feel like that, I need help with this. The list goes on and on, but it was such a supportive community for me because, as I talked about before with the local moms group, I didn't have the best experience, and so I did hermit myself, and I didn't really have that community support system. And to be 100% honest, even like where I live, the postpartum community has exploded in the past couple of years, especially after COVID. Everything has become so much more of a supportive community of let's all lift each other up and help each other, and that really did start back then. And as much as like we hated those times, I think they really catapulted this big era of like mom supporting moms and helping each other get through these hard times, and we're still helping each other. And I really wish that was around more when my babies were babies, but it's here now, and I'm here to talk to you all about it and to make sure that you know that even if one group did not fit your fancy, there are other groups out there, whether it is on the internet or in person. Just don't be afraid to smile and say hi if your kid is getting along well with another kid. Not every single friendship is going to be a hit off the bat. I remember when my daughter was in preschool, she really loved this one little girl, and she wanted to have play dates, and she would ask me all the time, and I would reach out to her mom and she would never respond, and I'm like, maybe they're just busy. And that friendship just never took, but other ones did. And it took me until my kids were all in preschool, kindergarten to actually make these connections, and I really wish that it didn't take me this long. So learn from my mistakes, reach out, make friends as soon as possible, because you don't ever need to feel alone in motherhood. And if all else fails, find me on Instagram at Slumber and Bloom, send me a message and tell me you're feeling lonely, and we'll chat and I'll be your friend. I will be your support system, and I will be there for you no matter what. So I hope that you liked this video. If I left any ideas out, leave them in the comments down below for other mamas to go check that out, and keep blooming. Mwah.